One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Tim Buckley with the Daily Advertiser down in Louisiana wrote an update late last week on how the AD search process is going for the Raging Cajuns. Tim is on One Question today, and Tim, I have a couple of follow-up questions that I think may add more context to the process. The first of which is Mike Alden's involvement with this AD hire, and of course, Mike's been engaged with the university for longer than just this singular process. But maybe there's many around the industry who feel it's a damn near certainty that one of his former employees or part of this group that I guess affectionately is known as the Missouri Mafia, that it will end up being one of these individuals in the AD chair for UL. How has Mike's engagement in this project maybe taken it in certain directions, or what kind of role do you see him playing actively day to day with this search?
Mike and the university actually kind of got together back in 2015 when he started a very comprehensive 6-month study of the university's athletic department, an independent study that was made public in late March, early April of 2016. And he remained on retainer after that. And now that obviously Scott Farmer is out as the athletic director with the Raging Cajuns, Mike Alden was made a special consultant to a search committee that was put together, chaired by Dr. Nita Hazelwood, who's the NCAA faculty rep. The committee actually includes a couple student athletes and includes baseball coach Tony Robichaux, volleyball coach Heather Mercedes-Fontenot, and a few others, including, by the way, two-time Olympic medalist Hollis Conway, who was a track and field athlete for the Cajuns. Mike's been the consultant to the search committee. Part of his job is both identifying candidates and helping the search committee vet candidates. Obviously, there's been widespread talk about the possible Missouri connection with candidates, and so obviously we're kind of in wait and see mode whether the actual hire indeed will fall into that category of the Missouri Mafia that you mentioned or not. But he's been heavily involved on a very regular basis.
Many of those who are in Mike's tree are really trained fundraisers and revenue generation specialists. Is that a skill that you see Lafayette really needing at this point in time? And the greater question here, Tim, is the job Scott Farmer did for so many years, do they need more of the same, or do they need a 180 in terms of skill set and personality?
Well, obviously they were looking to make a change, which would suggest the second that you mentioned. The fundraising is absolutely critical to the hire that they're going to make. The university is kind of right in the heart of a $115 million athletic facilities master plan that includes all sorts of facility construction and renovation. They've already put up a new athletic performance center that came up from the ground from scratch, houses a weight room, football coaching offices, football locker rooms, and the like. They renovated the track/soccer facility. They added some new seating behind one of the end zones in Cajun Field, the football stadium, and they've begun construction on renovation on the baseball stadium, the Teague. But there are other projects that are part of the master plan, including massive renovation and expansion at Cajun Field that also would involve the moving of offices, including the athletic department offices, into the kind of the facade of the the football stadium, and they do not have all the funds raised for that by any stretch of the imagination. So one of the charges that Joseph Savoie, the president of the university, is going to put on whomever it is that's hired will be to oversee the continuation and eventual completion of the master plan, and none of that's going to happen without a significant fundraising boost. But fundraising is a tricky thing down here for a variety of reasons.
And those those reasons would be what?
Well, there's several factors going on. One is simply economy related. This is a heavy oil and gas type based economy, and that's just been crushed lately. So a lot of the big money donors are having to deal with the reality of that, the related downturn in terms of trickle down, the unemployment that's been affected by it. Of course, there also was back in August massive, devastating flooding in much of southern Louisiana, including the Acadiana area, which is where the Cajuns call home, and that absolutely impacted things as well. A little bit of it is, the football program enjoyed, 4 straight 9-4 seasons with 4 New Orleans Bowl wins, and they had a 4-8 season, so that, there's always the tide flow that goes with winning and losing performance-wise impacting fundraising. But the large part of it is economy related. And then there's also the whole issue of kind of untapped possibilities. And a large part of the study that Mike Alden oversaw addressed issues like that, including marketing and being able to tap unsourced revenue in terms of multimedia rights and the like. And I think a lot of that is obviously going to fall under the purview of the new hire as well.
How would you gauge let's say the expectations of not just the fan base, but maybe some of the biggest donors that give to UL athletics? How would you gauge their expectation versus the reality of college athletics in the greater landscape right now?
Unrealistic in large part, heavily demanding, kind of reaching that level, especially football-wise, and obviously that's a lot of what drives things down here. A sense that they had reached a certain level with the, like I mentioned, the New Orleans Bowl run that they had there, and I think they're looking for kind of a getting to the next level type thing. But with a lot of the economic handcuffs that they are, that's no small task. There has been talk about kind of pursuing the Boise State model, and I think that's realistic in some regards, but there's also, the unrealistic in terms of some who, are talking about like an immediate jump from where they are right now in the Sun Belt Conference straight into the Big Ten. Things like that aren't going to happen, but it's a fan base and also a donor base very cognizant of, the ever-changing landscape of, the possibilities of what's going to happen in terms of Power 5 versus Group of 5 and positioning yourself accordingly. There was certainly a segment that was not pleased when there was a big wave that sent several Sun Belt schools, including North Texas, Middle Tennessee, Florida International, Florida Atlantic, and Western Kentucky from the Sun Belt into Conference USA. And the Cajuns missed out on that wave, and concerned about whether the window opportunity has shut or not in that regard, and that's going to color some of what the new athletic director's task is as well.
Lastly, would anything surprise you on how this plays out? And I guess I'm thinking specifically about the timeline of a potential decision. What would surprise you, if anything?
Well, I've come to learn that nothing surprises me down here. That being said, there was indication, obviously in the story that I wrote late last week, that there was a hope for the possibility of an announcement of some sort sometime next month, whether that's earlier in the month or later in the month. That's to be determined. The original posting had an April 1st start date to it, and I think that's to accommodate a lot of things, including the typical notice and just the practicality of moving and whatnot. But in terms of expectation for next month, it also kind of came with the caveat that that's nothing that's set in stone, and they want to do it right, and it could take a little longer. I just note on a personal level that technically next month is Wednesday, and that's National Signing Day, so I hope they don't take sometime next month too literally in terms of the first day of the month.
That might make your job a little bit harder.
Just a little.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.